Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another review for a film called Evilspeak. And this is a movie that stars Clint Howard, Ron Howard's brother. Very young Clint Howard. See, I'm already mixed up. Clint Howard is one of those character actors that when I've seen him, he's played his roles well, the way that they're supposed to. I know he was in that film called Ice Cream Man. He was in a very old episode of Star Trek. I remember he's worked on Ron Howard's, his brother's movies like Apollo 13, among others. I think he got like an MTV Lifetime Achievement Award, which is one of those like tongue-in-cheek awards. But I thought Clint Howard did a solid job in this as Stanley Coopersmith. He's a guy who's picked on by bullies, takes place in a military school, military academy. You have this early opening where Richard Mall from Night Court and also House with William Catt, he's a Satanist who beheads this woman in a ritual. I kind of knew I was in for at least a decent time when, pretty naked woman gets beheaded and the head flies as her transition to modern day where it's a soccer ball. So as the head flies, it turns to a soccer ball, and we're in the current time period of this movie. I thought that was clever. But yes, Clint Howard's character, Stanley Coopersmith, just gets picked on relentlessly by bullies. And also the teachers and Sarge, who is played by R.G. Armstrong, who I remember in his brief role in Predator. He's a guy at the very beginning, the very end of the film, who kind of sends Arnold on the mission. Just everyone just giving him shit. He has like one buddy, and then also he befriends his cook. And that's one of the flaws I have with the film. But overall, I can say I liked this flick. I would not mind picking the film up on Blu-ray sometime for my collection. He gets punished for stuff that he didn't do, so he has to clean the bowels of the academy up, and by doing that he finds this hidden room where there's a journal and all this satanic stuff about how to do a black mass, and he uses a computer to help translate the journal. So I thought that was an interesting touch where very early, I mean this is 1981, so the fact that this early on you're using computers to do this kind of stuff, this is stuff that they would do in a movie today, and yet they were doing it with the primitive computers that were around in 1981. So I thought that was a nice take on it, of using that technology, which was very early in his age back then, mixed in with the satanic idea. I mean, you could say in a way this is a male Carrie, because they're both characters who get picked on relentlessly, and then by the end something happens and bloodshed and revenge happens. Although I would say with this movie, the couple flaws I have, one, it gets a bit repetitive with how these bullies mistreat this guy, to the point of, okay, we get it. You're just repeating the same thing over and over again, and these bullies treating this guy like shit. I think one of the reasons a film like Carrie gets a bit more praise than, say, Evilspeak is you have the whole subplot with Carrie and then her mother, like her family. You don't really have that with this, and that's the thing they could have done with like his buddy or the cook, which they're in there for a little bit, but you could have maybe done a bit more with those characters, because I'm thinking by the end, when all shit hits the fan, those two would come in and try to save Clint Howard's character, or try to bring him back to the good side, or try to get him, try to stop something, but nothing really comes of it. Those characters pretty much disappear. But for what it is, like I said, I like Clint Howard in the role. The bullies, their job is to make you hate them, and if that's the case, they did it effectively. Because this is the point that these bullies are not just bullies, they're plain old fucking evil. Because literally, Clint Howard's character gets a puppy from the cook who's treating him well, and he hides the puppy in the bowels of the academy, in a safe place, because he can't have it in his room. And the bullies come down, and they kill the puppy. And I'm like, try and do that with John Wick and have him shoot you all in the fucking head repeatedly. I mean, they really made these bad guys deserve their fates to the point that I have no qualms with Stanley Coopersmith and what he did to all these motherfuckers. And the kills and the gore is pretty entertaining. I mean, the kills. Like the computer starts kind of having a mind of his own when Clint Howard's character starts doing this stuff. So there's a point where R.G. Armstrong, as SARS, is trying to break this puppy's neck. He's like, leave the puppy alone, for goddamn sake. And Clint Howard's like asking for help. And so the computer does it where R.G. Armstrong's head just turned 180. And then when you get to the finale, it's bloody as hell. Clint Howard, the ritual is successful, throws one asshole teacher into these spikes up above. There's this like Jesus cross and impales one guy, cuts one guy's head in half this way, like one gets eaten by pigs because the character previously we saw him take care of pigs, so like these man-eating pigs. Another guy gets decapitated. I think like two guys get like decapitated almost at the same time. A lot of decapitations in this. One gets his heart ripped out. And then you get text saying something to the effect of everyone died except Clint Howard, and he was in an asylum because he can't do anything, say anything. He's like comatose. But then you find out the truth is that just like Clint Howard, when he did the ritual, Richard Mole's demon possessed him. Now he is the Richard Mole. He's the figure. So someone in the future does it. It will be Stanley Coopersmith, Clint Howard's character, who will possess that guy. So now he's become that. So now instead of Richard Mole, it will be him for the next time. Which, I mean, in a way, in a sick way, I want to say that Clint Howard didn't deserve that, because I think these motherfuckers deserve their fates. For how asshole and bullyish they were, and some of them killed a puppy, I'm like, they deserve to die. I mean, they deserve their fate, and I think that would have been interesting if the movie's like, he got away with it, and then just moves on. I think that would have been pretty fun. I mean, the flaws I have with the movie, one I haven't gotten to. I would say like three things. Well, I can't say flaws. They're my personal gripes with it. One it feels it gets a bit repetitive with he's getting bullied, trying to make this ritual work, it doesn't work. He gets bullied more, tries to make this ritual work, it doesn't work. He gets bullied again, and he gets bullied even more so. It's like, okay, you need a little bit more to break up the monotony. 2, there's this little subplot that really goes nowhere where the secretary found the journal and is trying to pull this pentagram off. And somehow that has something to do with pigs because she does it and then these pigs kill her in the shower. Really, you could have taken that entire subplot out. It would not have made a difference. Actually, it would have made a difference. It would have made the film go faster paced. But you didn't really need any of that. And 3, again, I personally would have just had the Stanley Coopersmith character get away with it. It's not like it would be the first or last movie that did that. But with that said, I'm glad I saw it. Like I said, I thought Clint Howard, I felt sorry for the character. I like the score. You pretty much hear the score if you watch the trailer. I thought it fit the film quite well. It's always cool to see Richard Mole from Night Court in there. Granted, briefly, but nice to see him. I know I repeat myself, but I like the computer stuff. I thought that was a neat addition to the whole satanic black ritual, black mass thing. I like the old school computer graphics. I did a kick out of those. And the finale is pretty damn gory and violent, and if you don't build up, it works. But yeah, I just say overall I did like the movie. I kind of like, the reason I kind of hesitate is because I'm not really a guy who's big on Terry. But I don't know if I would say I like this more than Terry or not, because Terry I haven't seen in a while. I don't hate Terry, I liked it, but it's just, for Stephen King adaptations, it's not the one I'd go to a lot. I go more towards Christine, The Dead Zone, Cujo, Maximum Overdrive, Graveyard Shift, among many others. As I do like Terry, I do think it's a good movie. It's just not something I rewatch. Again, this is kind of like a male version of Terry in a way. So I don't know if I would say I like this better than that. I'd be curious to see if the Blu-ray has features. But yeah, that was a pretty decent flick, and I'm glad I finally got around to seeing it all the way, because I had seen bits and pieces of it, but yeah. I would say it's definitely worth a look if you're a fan of Clint Howard, to see him in a lead role. But again, just it got a bit too repetitive in the first hour of the film. If there's if the buddy and the cook had a bit more to do, who are friends, and that's another thing. If they came back at the end and maybe tried to save Stanley Coopersmith, or maybe some other little subplot that dealt with Stanley Coopersmith that wasn't just him looking at this ritual or getting bullied. If there was something else that he was involved with, it didn't break a little bit of monotony, but I can't say I was bored with the movie. And again, by the ending, I thought it was fairly satisfying, the carnage factor. Some really gruesome stuff. Again, when the guy, especially when Clint Howard has the sword and splits the guy's head in two like a wishbone. I'm surprised they got away with it. That's weird that the same year My Bloody Valentine got so ripped apart by the MPAA, but yet a film like this, they got away with quite a bit of gore. Unless this is an uncut version, and that's why. But if this was the R-rated version, I'm like, how the hell did they get an R when, My Blade Valentine, they cut all this stuff out, but hey, what do I know? But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. And we will see you for another 80s horror movie review. Later.